to be able to do the work of Jefferson County. The commitment that you have made, the commitment that you have made has given meaningful results to what we do, and that's improved the quality of life and improve the efficiency of government within Jefferson County. And I just want to take time before we start our meeting today, on behalf of, I know, Commissioner Knight and myself, because we've been here since it wasn't so good, and we appreciate it. We really do appreciate your engagement and the trust that you put in us over the years, because what's that time we've come a long way, baby? And we really have. But in order to do that, we had to have some divine intervention. And speaking of that, let's go back to the Lord in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for all these assembled here to do the work of Jefferson County. Dear Lord, we're ever thankful and grateful for all the blessings that You've bestowed on us. Dear Lord, the wisdom that You have given us over the years and the ability to make those proper decisions, we understand come from You and Your grace. Dear Lord, as we're about to sit down at this meeting, we ask that You continue that guidance and grace for us. Help us to make the correct decisions for the citizens of Jefferson County. And above all, dear Lord, let's put it all to glory and grace in Your name. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Commissioner, welcome, Commissioner Bowe.
Thank you, sir. Welcome back to everyone.
It's good to have you. You're not a stranger to the courthouse. I know you feel like you've been drinking out of a fire hose, because there's a lot of difference between the legislative and the judicial. But you do have a head start. You've been here longer than I have. Probably twice as long as I have. So, with that understanding, welcome. Would you like to say a few words before we get started?
Very few. I know many of you here. I've met some of you, and I'm just proud to be here. Thank you. And look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Welcome on board. If you have any questions, all of these commissioners are here to help you and to work with you and ensure your success. We appreciate you. With that being said, we'll begin with Commission District 1.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Public Works, Community Services, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. We have no items under Board of Equalization. We have a total of 6 items that's under Environmental Services. Is that David? Would you like to speak to those items?
Yes.
Do we have any commissioners that have any questions? Do we have any questions for items 1 through 6?
Hang on, I had the wrong thing, so looking for the notes.
Sure.
Bear with it.
Sure. Stand by. Good. All right. I'd like to have a motion at this time for items 1 through 6. All right, it has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
We have no items under the general retirement system. We have 2 items under human resources, one for an employment agreement for development services as Joshua Johnson. We have FMLA Source Inc. Do we have any questions? And would that fall under County Manager Tricia in terms of, well, that wouldn't be Tricia. That's our beautiful lady right here. I'm sorry. Okay. Do anyone have any questions as it relates to those 2 items? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion at this time.
Okay.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor let it be known by saying aye.
Is Mr. Johnson?
I didn't hear anyone say aye.
I said aye.
Okay. All right. Is Mr. Johnson here? Joshua? Okay. Have 1 item under compliance.
Move it.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. We have four. Thank you, sir. We have 4 items under the Personnel Board. Do we have any questions as
I
relates?
move for acknowledgement.
Okay. Has been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
We have no other business. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Tyson.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
We skip all the way down to Department of Community Service, Dr. Hamilton.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have 3 items this morning. The first one is with CCR Architects and Interiors for the Center Point Community Center renovations project. This is for the design and inspection of that project in the amount of $36,480 to be paid for with our CDBG funds. Number 2, we have Bridge Ministries Emergency Rental Assistance Program Amendment number 2 in the amount of $1,120,000. $1 million will be used for direct services and $120,000 for administrative costs. Number 3 is with Pathways Inc. This is the women's shelter right off of Richard Arrington for elderly citizens experiencing homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. This will be for their essential services in the amount of $15,000 to be paid for with our CDBG funds.
Dr. Hammonds, quick question. If the math is right, is that like 15% administrative fee for item number 2?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say 10% of $1 million is.
15%.
All right. Is that home?
This one, that's their allowable expense.
It's 12.
I'm sorry.
It's 12%?
The total now is 15, but they're getting 12.
Okay, I thought so. Y'all doing some strange math.
We need a pen and we can make this, yes, sir.
No. Okay, thank you.
Oh.
Move items 1 through 3.
I'll second.
Yeah, I have a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I am pulling, I was request putting into full family court. Pulling it, we'll go down to
Now, are you
pulling it.
taking it off, or you rolling it over, what you gonna do?
No, they pulling it. They said pull the item.
Yeah, because this is, hadn't we already funded that?
We did.
They had more people. They said pull the item. So I don't think no one is on the, anyone from family court is online?
I believe they had more people show up than they thought, and they may be working on trying to do.
Well, they got to make some adjustments, and they said just pull it and they explain it.
The request in my office was to pull it until August the 31st.
Okay, so that'll be August 31st.
No, it's, okay.
I have 2 more questions on
Yes.
education. You know, I come from the judicial branch, so the family court is guided by a circuit judge, state judge. We do the county nothing training.
No, they call outside sources when they do training. It's depending on what they're being trained.
No, I'm looking at PCH hotels and resorts. Okay, there's a training event for approximately 100 people.
Yeah.
Those county employees.
All of them, I don't know whether all of them are. All of them, some of them,
Their merit system.
they are mirror system.
County merit system.
Because I don't know who all the employees is. You see what I'm saying?
The judge.
So it'll be mixed up, you don't know.
The only thing I was concerned with, if it's state court business, you know, I think state should fund it, but if they're county employees, I have a problem.
State court don't fund a lot of things. Well, yeah.
Maybe we have someone with some influence with them that can
Maybe we should rethink it.
Okay, I have 6 community items, community grants.
Move items 1 through 6.
Can I get a second?
Second.
And first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that's the end of my
Well, that moves for me then. The Administrative and Infrastructure Committee, Roads and Transportation. There's 7 items here, in Roads and Trans. Do you have anything you want to be proud of and talk about, or you just want to get it through?
If there's any questions, I can walk through them.
We're going from 1 year to 2 year contracts on the appraisers. That's so we don't have to just kind of redo them, or
We're actually amending the funding on these to increase the contract amount, really due to a peak in work and just a peak in highway acquisitions.
okay.
So you got Tillman Consulting, you got David Darden for appraisal services, and you got Rusty Riggs. And then Tower Road State Advisors LLC. That's all that is around appraisal services.
Yes, sir. All for 1 through 4, all appraisal service amounts.
But I would add, when you're buying right away on a road project, and if you're using federal money, you have to have an appraisal. Then you got to hire another appraiser to review the appraisal to make sure it meets the state standard. So there's a lot of, quote, appraisers and appraisal work. And seeing this much on here means we're doing an awful lot of road work. I'm really excited to finally get these on board, because right-of-way is normally the slowest thing when you're trying to get a road underway.
Moving utilities.
What we see, getting the right-of-ways, it's a boom. Thank you all.
Sure.
1 through 7.
Second.
I have a motion second to move from 1 through 7. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank
But
you.
on number 7, it says realignment of city drive in conjunction with the Greater Birmingham Humane Society and the county's intake facility for animals. I think might ought to be in there too.
Right, and our lot 1.
Yeah.
So why isn't?
Chair will entertain a pen and ink.
Yeah.
Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to add.
So then we would accept that amendment?
Number 7 would include the animal intake and Lot 1 owned by Jefferson County.
Right. It's all affected by that.
All is affected. Good catch. Are we good with that, or do I need to have that amendment for the record? Or do?
I'm going to look and see if it's in there, Commissioner, maybe in the backup.
Well, for safety's sake.
Yeah, I think it's a need, because it's really not,
It does
it's really with our.
It's ours,
intake
yeah.
lot 1.
Yeah.
It's part of the land purchase and everything. We'll fix that,
So
just on that title.
amended to the title.
Yeah.
No, nothing different on the work for the
Right.
resolution.
Yeah.
Fair enough. County Attorney, we have a Kefra approval, Alabama Power Company, Miller Plant Project.
Yes, this is just the standard one we do whenever the statute requires that y'all approve things. And Frank is here if you want to ask any questions about the project.
Why do we have to approve a TEPRA?
You can ask the legislature why they create statutes that make us do that.
So in this case, you'd actually have to ask the IRS why you do that.
We had nothing to do with it. I was just curious.
So the IRS requires if a public entity is going to issue tax-exempt debt on behalf of or for the benefit of a private entity like Alabama Power or a private school or a church, then you have to go through certain public approval processes. And the first process is to hold a public hearing, which the IDB of West Jefferson did hold a public hearing. It was properly noticed in the Alabama Messenger, and no one showed up to provide any comments or to submit any written comments.
Where y'all advertise today?
The Alabama Messenger.
What is that?
That's that's now the newspaper in Jefferson County that has the largest circulation now that Birmingham News is.
You ain't put it online?
That's an option, but one of the other options that's permitted under the IRS code is to put it in the Alabama Messenger. So all of the public legal notices are now being published in the Alabama Messenger in Jefferson County because that's the only outlet at this point, since Birmingham is.
It's not the only outlet.
What's
It's
that?
just- It's not the only outlet.
Well, it's the one with the largest circulation.
And
What
I-
it does, Commissioner, is it, everyone that expects it goes to the Alabama Messenger.
But a common person wouldn't go to that. A common person wouldn't go to that. They might look online. So if you want to reach everybody, it look like you would put it everywhere.
I think we do both, though.
Well, the problem is the Industrial Development Board of West Jefferson, they don't meet regularly. They only meet when, they're doing something like this, and so they don't have a website. They don't have their own website to publish it. So by publishing in the Alabama Messenger, that was a way to get the message out to the most people. There is an online site that's administrated, I think, by like the Alabama Publishing Corporation.
Why you didn't put it in? I'm talking about you could have put it on what that is, Twitter, Facebook, and Birmingham Times.
Well, they don't have a Twitter account. And
But they don't have to. They could have put it on all that money they got, they can create one.
Well, we're talking about the Industrial Development Board of the town of West Jefferson. They're the issuer, not Alabama.
I know, but it's some civic engagement groups or either a church or something. It should have been to where everyone would have an opportunity to read it, not just put it because let's forget it.
Why are they issuing a bond?
So,
I mean, how much, or do we know?
yeah, it's going to be $98 million, and the proceeds of the bonds are going to be used for solid waste disposal activities at Alabama Power's Plant Miller.
Oh,
And-
that's what the issue about.
Yeah, and so Alabama Power is going to enter into an installment sale agreement with the IDB, whereby the power company is going to purchase the improvements over time.
But that's not gonna, in any way, eventually fall back on us.
No, and let me make that clear.
Yeah,
So,
please do.
the IDB of the town of West Jefferson, Jefferson County, the town of West Jefferson, none of those entities are incurring any liability or obligation through this process. The IDB is simply a conduit issuer, much like, there are a number of different conduit issuers here in the county, like medical clinic boards and the like. And so they have agreed to issue the debt on behalf or for the benefit of Alabama Power, and they will turn around and fund the improvements themselves. And so the IRS requires, as part of this public approval process, that the host government, which is the Jefferson County Commission, also approve the issue. Once again, Jefferson County is not incurring any liability or obligation through doing this.
Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions?
Thank you.
Move the item as presented.
Second.
Item moved and presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner, we have the minutes from the commission meeting on July 22nd.
Move the minute.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. County manager, we have recognition of Senator Coleman of Madison. That's going to probably be in commission meeting if I had to.
It is. It's set for the commission meeting on Thursday. The ACCA executive director and the government relations person will be here because Senator Coleman took the lead in passing the bid law change where we went from you have to bid anything over used to be over $15,000, over $15,000 you had to bid it. That's been moved to 30. And I think the other one was moving it from infrastructure from 50 to 100,000. She was very minimal getting that bill passed, and so they want to come here in order to be part of the recognition and give her the recognition for doing it.
That will be great.
Yeah, I wanted to.
And as president of the ACCA, hopefully you can be part of it too, because that was a big part of it as well.
Well, I'm still the president of that.
Anything that helps Jefferson County. I did have a question.
Mr. Scale.
Yes. Are we on to, Mr. President, item 3?
Not
Or
yet.
we just basically at 1? I'm sorry.
We're still on one.
Okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
Move 1 and 2.
Second.
All right, have a motion second for 1 and 2. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Have a JCEIDA loan agreement. I see Othell Phillips here. Othell, it's a resolution authorizing loan agreement with JCEIDA for the purposes of loaning $3.975 million for acquisition of land for development. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Commissioners, for having me here today. And Judge Bowen, welcome to the Commission. I guess I'll call you.
That's Commissioner Bolton.
That's what I say, Commissioner
Bowen.
Bowen. Well,
That's it, and he has a parenthesis with an R behind it.
This is something better.
So,
Man is working.
as you see before you, we have opportunity. Each of you all know what we do. Let me give you a little handout that I brought to the Commissioners. So each of you know what we do. Over the history of our agency, we brought a little over 5,000 jobs to the county and brought an outside capital investment of $4.4 billion, as the University of Alabama report showed a few months ago when I made the presentation to you all. And we have got opportunity before us. We've managed 3 industrial parks since the creation. The first business opened in 1999, Jeff McCullough. Since then, we've developed 3 parks, one at Lakeshore, one at Jeff McCullough, and one in Titusville that was sold off to DC Blocks. But we have a challenge in Jefferson County of land. The whole state basically has a challenge of putting large tracts of land together. This particular piece of property that we're looking at, and I'll go into as much detail as you want, we can't close on the property until we receive the funding. But this property was the property that was discussed in executive session several months back, and I think Commissioner Scales, I think you had a meeting, wasn't at that meeting, Judge Bolden wasn't here then. But this property would give us the opportunity of taking a 640-acre tract and a 127-acre tract, adding it to the 400-acre tract, giving us 1,172 acres to develop an industrial park with. If you look at the numbers based off the current parks that we operate, if we have that much land, and thanks to the due diligence of the engineering department at the county, from that executive session, the order was given for the county engineering department and Roads and Transit, Chris and the others and Heather was involved in that CAL, to look at and see if this property was developable and how much would be developable. And through that process, if you take the jobs that were created on their other parks and relate it to this park, we have a potential of creating 4,710 new jobs in Jefferson County. So basically, the request before you is a loan, just like we have done in the past. And just this year alone, we've paid the county back $1.9 million on properties that we've sold to Jeff McCullough. But this would be an opportunity for us to purchase this land and for the purposes of developing additional industrial park.
I got it. I was here for that meeting. I was trying to make sure it was that the one where you came and laid out the maps.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's right.
Mhm.
I thought
That's
the
okay.
first one, maybe we had 2, I think the first.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. No problem.
Have any questions?
And this will be funded out of the economic development.
It's coming out of this year's fiscal budget, right? Forward, because it's going to get $10 million more money next budget cycle. So this was coming out of this one, I'm assuming, correct? Correct. And this is going to be used for acquisition purposes? All right.
I moved aye.
Second. Yeah.
All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. That's good news. That's Good job, guys, well bought, and look forward to seeing it develop.
Mr. President, while we're at the hotel, before you sit, I'd like for you to, I know the county is assisting in some regard as relates to that Homewood project. Am I correct? The development over there? We approved.
The one at Lakeshore or which one?
It's in Homewood.
Our agency wouldn't get involved. Anything that Lakeshore, that's in.
There was something that while Ammons was here, we approved funding to assist with a project development over there in Homewood, and I thought,
Where at, do you remember where at Homewood? I mean, I don't know.
no, but there's an article that's
It wasn't
associated with it.
United
because they-
Society.
No, they got a, huh? Yeah, it's like, it's a whole redevelopment project
Is
that's,
it the
that,
Bray and Vestavia? Is it the Bray and Vestavia?
no. I know the difference between Vestavia
I
and
think it's
Homewood, but that's
All the
okay.
hotels, they're gonna remodel it and put it on different types.
Yeah, well, they,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
And we've got a,
did we have any participation in that?
They recently.
I thought we did.
approached us- Well, they recently approached us to look at some assistance.
Mm-hmm.
The county hasn't approved any assistance, and we haven't finished our due diligence on reviewing it.
That wouldn't go through JCIDA anyway.
No, that's why I'm trying to get my recollection of it correctly, because I just wanted you to kind of fill me in on how that development is going.
That must have came after I left and went over to JCFD. I don't remember that. I wasn't involved in that project.
I got you. But that's okay. What I'll do is I'll forward it to you, and you say, oh, okay, that's what you, yeah, because I do read up on some of this stuff, and I just want to know, because then we can duplicate it. Yeah. If we have the ability to, have some cooperation in some other areas, then we could be able to expand our economic development projects.
The only one I'm aware of in Homewood right now would be the redevelopment of the Econo Lodge site, and to my knowledge, Homewood's participating with some sales tax rebate, but there hasn't been anything approved from the county, to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, yes, sir, thank you. I'll forward it.
Jeff also has some workforce numbers for the commission later. If you all would like to sit down and get some talk about all that too. We've been working on that as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd point out in the fact of hotels, got the number of jobs created at McCullough and Lakeshore that y'all done over the years, pretty fantastic.
Does that include the smokers?
Yes.
That's the protected job.
They just up there is 50. They went from 750. They're going out 800 initially now.
You know, and I might add too that smokers acquisition of property years ago that we bought, and then smokers came in and took it over. That was specifically mentioned in the latest SSB upgrade that we got. So that was good.
Very good work, a coordinated effort from all of our commissioners and all of our departments and all of our quasi-governmental agencies. Thank you very, very much for making sure that this happens, as long as we're pulling in the same direction and talking. I think things like this will continue to happen. We appreciate that.
Oh, so do we have a closing date on that if we pass it on Thursday, which we hope
We do. We need to close out, and that's the reason why we brought it before the agenda today is before your next meeting. It's around the closing time.
Right.
So we needed to get it in
Contract.
before y'all's next meeting. I think y'all moved your meeting at the public ACCA.
Right.
We'll be right on the deadline or anything hiccups in case we need to fund and close it. We don't need to let the contract lapse. So
Right.
since then, the oil deadline's been announced and there's some other things. Close now.
Go ahead and lock it in. Good job.
I have one more item. This is one item that is new business that I was informed of the last evening. So it's actually a short revision to a letter that I handled on April the 21st. It's a DOJ grant similar to one that the sheriff gets. but this is actually, was initiated and came through, Dr. David Hicks, the Department of Health, for, actually, Jeff gave it to me. So, Chair will entertain one item if you bid.
Okay,
That's
second.
the second. Shauna, would you, I
You
gave
give
it.
it to me, I'll upload it in a minute, try to make sure.
Yeah, make sure it's done. The letter itself was, they gave you a template to do, and this was done way back in the spring, but there were 2 additions. You can see these yellow marks. It says not and will, and I don't think they're significant, but, Joe, if you want to look at it, we'll pass it around and say, I just need the commission's approval to sign that, and I won't sign it until after everyone looks at it. DOJ grant, Department of Justice grant, really.
Well, let's do this. Let's move to the
A
agenda.
grant.
Sure.
And then you get copies to everybody, then we'll have them. I mean,
It's just in essence a formality for them to request the grant. It's saying that we have certain laws in place in Jefferson County, and it's a request for grants for violence against women, and stuff like that. So it's like what the sheriff does, we just.
Where
it's
does
a
money go?
formality. Not to us, to the person who requested the.
So
grant
who
money.
is it that's requesting it?
Was it one place? One place is requesting it for domestic violence? They're requesting it from the Department of Justice.
This originated from Dr. David Hicks, the health department. He called me yesterday evening and said that they made three slight changes and asked would I resubmit the letter. I could have done it because we approved this letter back in the spring for the same thing, but out of abundance of caution, I brought it back to everyone to take a look at, to make sure that everyone understood what was going on. There are no material changes in what that letter said is really no different from the previous. And there is no additional liability to the county.
What you're saying, we just, you ain't have to tell us, so we need to go on and approve.
No, I told you that I did want to, and I did. I'll move that.
Watch out there.
and we
And
can.
at the same time, I'll ask, would you, with that being said, let's move to the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. If there's any differences or changes, I would appreciate it if you give it to Shauna. She's the one that's done it.
She's the one that screwed it up. We're just adding some lights or something.
Yeah, I don't know, there wasn't anything to it.
Has that Hicks taken
Well, you
the
said
helm?
it right, out of the abundance of caution, you always want things and the changes, go ahead.
All right, with that being said, I believe that concludes mine.
I thought you were closing out and like Commissioner Bowen hadn't had an opportunity.
No,
You're
I
very,
said
very
that includes, I got Commissioner Knight, yeah.
We got the finance, yeah.
Yeah.
I skipped over you.
That concludes my agenda, Commissioner Knight.
All right, finance. Ms. Dixon.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have 5 items. The first item is our encumbrance report. The second item is our purchasing agenda report. Item number 3 is our purchasing exception report. Item number 4 is our unusual demand report. And item number 5 is the procurement card statement for Regions Bank. Do we have any questions on any of those items?
Do I have a motion?
Move items 1 through 4.
How about
Second.
5?
I didn't see a 5.
I'll do that one too, Joe.
Hold on, is there a 5?
Yes, it is a
Because
5.
what I have printed is 1 through 4. All right, I do.
The other is just procurement of Regions Bank.
Credit card statement.
Is that what you're referring to? But that would still be 4 based on what I see. Well, that's okay.
That's
You
what-
got 5. All
All right.
right.
Have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Budget Management Office, individual staff development, information only with other agencies. Do I have any questions?
I have a pen and ink for individual staff development, Commission District 1. Chris Withers should be Commission District 3 unless he's changed jobs.
All right, with a pen and ink change, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, here we go, developmental services. Mr. Morrison, Z, 230019.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is case number 19 is a request to downzone property as well as remove split zoning. Property currently is on I-3, and there's a small portion of it that's on institutional 2. It was rezoned institutional 2 several years ago for a fire station that never came to fruition. The current property owner wants to rezone it to A1 for residence. P&Z recommended approval and it complies with policies of the land use plan in the area.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Move the item.
Motion
Yeah.
and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Be moved to the Z, 230020.
This is a property off of Macashan Drive in the McCall area. Currently, it is a office for a builder. It was also the showcase house, I believe, at one point in time. There is a covenant on the property currently that restricts it to just that use. The new occupant of the building wants to operate a child care facility, a daycare, and in order to do so, they would need to remove the current zoning that's on the property, or the current covenant that's associated with the zoning of the property. So this would essentially rezone it from C1 with that covenant restricting it to that use to just C1 blanket. This area is on the drive between the interstate and the industrial park on Macashan Drive. And it's currently under a lot of transition due to a lot of road work and the anticipated growth, both industrial and commercial. It complies with the policies of the land use plan as well.
Is it being converted to a daycare center? Or?
Yes, that's the wish for the property,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Did you have a public hearing on this?
Yes, ma'am. Went for planning and zoning commission last month. And it'll be on your agenda for Thursday.
All right, this was when we denied that liquor store, it was in anticipation of this on Macashan?
No, that liquor store was on Eastern Valley, behind the Dollar General. The daycare was going behind the Dollar General on Eastern Valley Road.
This is a different daycare?
Yes.
Will this, do we have any zoning we can put on there in case they want to change it to something else? Like a rehab house or something like that, instead of a daycare? Do you have anything that?
They're going to just blanket C1 commercial. For it to be some sort of rehabilitation facility, it would need an institutional zone. So they would have to.
So what else up under this C1 could it be?
C1 is your standard commercial zoning. They can have restaurants, retail, any wide array of that. But like I said, any sort of rehabilitation facility would require institutional zoning classification, so they'd have to be zoned.
I move it.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Z, 230022, Vantage Holdings.
If you all recall, it was early last year or early this year.
19.
19, and then they came back in 22, I believe, because they had the reversionary clause, and the last time we removed the reversionary clause. This is a picture of this is a site plan for the overall development. You notice the property that's on the right side, that's been approved via that rezoning case back in 2022, I believe. This is just an expansion of that particular use. This is a housing development for persons over 55. The request is to go from C1 to institutional 2 for the housing development. This is an additional, I believe, 45 units in addition to the 52 that's already been approved. The site itself will have access from the inside of the other development and not from Grayson Valley Drive. P&Z did recommend approval of this request with a condition that they have review of the architectural and building elevations just to ensure that it's going to be something that's cohesive with what's already been approved. And that's that on that case. They do have a small bit of floodplain on the property, floodplain and floodway. That's on the extreme northwestern portion of the property.
That border of Grayson Valley Drive?
That's correct.
So there would be no access to Grayson Valley, it'd all be Grayson Parkway.
That's correct.
Okay.
And through the already approved development.
Correct. And, yeah, I've had it both ways. I've had somebody, not wanting it, and I've had a lot of people wanting it. But I'll speak with the person who do have some. I did, and they said they would buffer whatever they need to do on the backside of Grayson Valley. Ben said whatever we wanted them to do, so we'll take a look at that too. All right. Do I have a motion to pass it to the agenda?
Move the item.
Motion.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
B 230009.
Yes, this is the Forestdale Shell that's located at the corner of Forestdale Boulevard and Hefflin Avenue West. Then this is a request just to renew or transfer a beer and wine off-premise license. But most recently, this was approved, I believe, in 2017 for another like license. I will note that in this particular request, there is they came back on the record for the ABC board that they did have an arrest 10 years ago for selling to a minor.
So, I don't want to interrupt your presentation.
Well, that's it. Yes, sir.
So, let me ask you something. When this went before the zoning, did you...
Beverage licenses don't go before the planning.
It doesn't?
No, ma'am. They just come strictly to you guys.
Okay.
And what they trying to do?
What I would do...
It's a transfer license. So they currently have a license to sell beer and wine, and someone else is coming in and purchase the facility or purchase the business, and so they need to transfer that license into their name.
I get it. But if you don't mind, I would agree for it to go to the agenda, but I would like to have the opportunity to talk to some of those neighborhood leaders that represent that area. And I know that they have, not so much about just this one specific business, but I know that they have concerns about how the businesses operate within that area, within that corridor. So I would move to have, because I know it's just a simple transference, but it seems as though there's some operational issues that are going on in that area with several of the businesses, and I don't want to ignore that. Yeah.
I'll second.
All right, have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, general services. Ms. Wilkin, are you on?
I'm here. Good morning, Commissioners. General Services has one item on the agenda today. It's the Black Creek Integrated System. It is the proprietary service agreement for the software and hardware for the Birmingham Investment of Public Safety Centers and youth detention.
I have a question as it relates to this item. So you're saying that, what exactly does this, is this something that we normally do? I'm trying to figure out, since I see the Birmingham jail, is this normal what we do, normally what we do?
I think it's our jail in Birmingham. I don't think it's the Birmingham jail.
That's the sheriff.
Sure.
County jail, and youth detention, they control the software that controls the locks.
Yeah, because I do have my eye on that one. And when I saw it, there's no dumb question when you don't ask. So I want to make sure that, it's only dealing with properties or facilities that we have, and we have software located within them, right? Okay. Okay, yes, ma'am.
All right.
So then move the item.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. All right, District 4, I have 2 infrastructure grants.
Move the items.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That ends my report.
Commissioner Bowe.
Thank you. I'm the new kid, I don't have much business, but I do have the District 5 report, and that would be a resolution concerning salaries of the 2 employees that are hired in my office.
Move the
Move
item.
the items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all right, you're learning.
Okay, that worked there. County manager has an item to like to present this time?
Commissioners, thank you all for taking care of the employees with a very good insurance program and benefits. This is a resolution we wanted to add where you just state the cost to the employees and the cost to the retirees for their health insurance. There's absolutely no change to any of those numbers from the last 2 or 3 years, but it is a resolution. We just like to have the books so when we do the open enrollment, we've got your blessing on it. Blue Ridge employees, thank you for your investment in them and our benefits.
While we're at that, before we take this item up, Mr. President, would you like if we had a question that relates to this particular item to come before the vote or after? Because my ask is having to deal with, did we save any money as relates to what we're doing with our employees? And so I'm in favor of anything that empowers the employees to have the best insurance available. But, you know, we can go ahead and move the item. I'm sure you're going to have to call for the, call for.
Go ahead, roll items in the bid.
So then you're going to have to.
For consideration.
Yeah, move the item.
A motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and we have a motion to move the item.
Yeah.
And a second to do that. I do have a question. The benefits that derive from this, I see there's no difference in the cost. Are the benefits changing?
No, sir, it's the same benefits as before. Now, when we hired the new broker, they did find a way to save approximately $1.5 million strictly on how they negotiate the medication plan. So employees won't see that. It won't affect anybody in any way. And then we did tweak, and it was in the previous agenda, one deductible for certain lab work when you're in the hospital saved us about $1 million. All the other benefits are the same. This is almost exactly the same as it was last year, but we'd like to have y'all blessing it. It spells out what retirees get, when they get it, and all that kind of thing, and this is the same as it's always been. So we did save, to answer your question, Ms. Scales, about $2.5 million from the previous years on our insurance. Really no cost to the employees, and that saved the commission for them.
So what we gonna do with that?
Well, I don't think that's a question for him.
I know it, but I still want to know what is he gonna put in the general fund? What they gonna?
Well,
I know it, but I want to hear what he said.
it goes, the savings would be for next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to budget our insurance for next fiscal year, we'll have a $2.5 million less as that would have been. So at that time, y'all will have a way to decide what to do with that money.
We have questions for the budget committee.
Okay.
That's the way to do that. But right now, we have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
And then let me ask you, can I ask? Okay, you gonna give us an amount that we have saved on all of the departments?
Well, not all of them per se. Some of them are increasing.
I know.
Well, the preliminary information that I sent.
The money that we have saved for this fiscal year that we're leaving out of. He said it was 2 point something on one, so I know on the other one we just saved something.
Yeah, some departments save some departments, roads and trans.
I would like to see a list
There will be
of
some.
the ones that we have saved.
There's no savings.
So we're talking about positions. We're talking about positions. Savings in regards to what?
I'm assuming she's talking about the budget.
Bottom line.
Bottom line for a department had $1 million budget, and they actually spent 890, so we did not spend
So you want to look at projected versus actual.
Right, well, at the end of the year, I think she's asking how much of the total budget did we not spend?
No, I get it. I said what's projected versus actual.
Right.
What you actually spent. And then I'm sure that we will make some kind of decision based upon what you actually spent. then that would be predicated on too the departmental needs that you currently have.
You're gonna have a time difference here, because the fiscal year ends on September 30th.
Right.
And then you have the month of closing, that 13th period, which you close the books to true everything up. So, you won't get actual until that's done and the books are closed, but you will get closed, okay? And, Cal, if you can get closed, I'm not gonna, when she said the actual, we understand that there is that closing month there, and then it takes a while to get that done. That's the reason why you don't get your audit published until the spring of the next year, because you have adjusting entries, closing entries, all that stuff going on. So it's difficult, and Commissioner Knight has a difficult job in order to get all of that aligned and to get it close enough in order to have a budget for the next year. And Angela, you do a wonderful job too. Thank you very, very much.
And to your point, Ms. Tyson, that what we budget this, and if we come under budget, then I think your question is, what do we do with that money that was extra? We put it in reserves, but we also fund those three funds, those reserve funds, the emergency disaster fund, and the other two funds. So, I mean, that's...
I know, I want to see the money.
Well,
I want to know how much it is, because we might can do something else with it besides what you talking about.
Well, I understand,
so we can discuss it.
And back to my S&P rating agency, they also noted that. So
we want to talk about the money. Many skills want to talk about the money.
And I understand, and 110%, I know where you're coming from, and what we have going on. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we're fiscally responsible with our dollars.
Yeah.
And make sure normal pattern practice of budgeting is you budget to 90% of your revenue. Okay. That gives you that cushion in case something happens.
Sometimes.
Now, we don't do that, do we? And
No,
we don't budget 90% of our revenue. So that's something that we need to either look at. But what we've done, we've always been very, very conservative in our revenue projections. And normally that makes up for the difference. But what we've done and what has given us our AA rating back, and which is pretty good, guys. I mean, we need to all pat each other on the back for that. Is because of the fiscal responsibility, because of the building of the surpluses in our catastrophic account, in our budget account, and it's important that those remain fully funded, and that we do increase our surplus. Now, something that we need to be comfortable with. We want to improve the quality of life of our citizens at all times. That's what our job is. That's what we're here for. But once we become fiscally adequate with our people, we can begin to add a little bit to these other accounts. But you have to remember the mission of this county commission. It is for infrastructure improvements. We make those infrastructure improvements. We give a safe thoroughfare to and from work and school. We keep your roads clean. We make sure that there's sanitary sewers to everyone that's capable of having it. We do the heavy lifting. And if any monies are left over from that heavy lifting, we can then do that to apply that to other things such as the 501c3, the schools, the ballparks, and things like that. But the core mission of our county is dedicated around infrastructure work. And we have been so fortunate in the last several years to have additional monies, and we will look for additional monies now in which to apply to our projects such as improving ball fields, giving extracurricular activities for different schools, and to be able to help those. And I'm confident that we will find dollars to do that. But we can't let that get in the way of our core project of infrastructure improvement, because those are the ones that your investors are looking at, because they want to have a safe place to go to and from work, school, and a place to raise their family. That's our job.
So,
And I'll shut up.
so, Mr. President, I'm sorry, Joe, if you don't mind. And Mr. President, that being said, I agree with what you're saying, but I also want to make mention to this body. The structural difference of districts 1 and 2 are a little different, meaning that we don't have as many county roads. We don't have opportunities for bridges and so forth. And so those projects, they are very meaningful. But I just want us to be mindful that there's not a lot of county roads that go between districts 1 and 2. And because of that, some things we have to tailor a little bit more than others. And as we go into it, we just don't want the needs of other areas to go lacking in certain parts to the degree they need to be funded. That I want to be careful and cautious how I say it, to the degree they need to be funded, because that we don't have certain things that the majority of the county does have. And I think you know what I'm saying. I'm always being mindful of what I say in this particular space. But I do want to ask this particular question, Mr. President, since we're at the conclusion of the meeting. We do have a vacancy, obviously, with the sudden passing of Mr. Burns. And so, just myself in this setting, I want to know, are we looking for an appointment, a special election? How is it that it appears as though law department that we are proceeding so that we're fair in how we move forward? Is that...
May I?
Sure, absolutely.
Would you like to address that? Because we had that addressed earlier this morning.
Yeah, I asked
She had the answer.
Thank you.
Because I emailed Jimmy last week about this.
I did some research on it because everybody's going, that's a 1975 law where she appoints. But in 2006, it was amended that we do a special election for any county or state seats.
Right.
And that's the...
So just like what the commission did as relates to the resignation of, okay,
Right.
that's the same.
And I believe that we had a, right?
And we determined what that...
I asked that of council just a minute ago. And off the cuff, the county has a law that's...
Yeah, the county has a local act that was, that became effective in 2009 that controls special elections for vacant positions within Jefferson County. It's a local act that only applies to Jefferson County.
So that means what?
So that means that the same process that was just, and I'm sorry, I was...
Okay, so you basically, you are in agreement with what she just said.
I'm not I didn't catch
Okay, so what she said was there was going to be a special election. Right.
It would be a special election instead of an appointment, so like we just had.
It would be a special election that would be, and the dates for that special election would be set by the Jefferson County election
commission.
Yeah, election committee. Thank you. Just like the dates were set for the most recent special election.
But then the election commission, y'all sent a letter to the governor asking her. Now you did, but NAPTO did. Judge NAPTO did.
Send a letter to what?
He sent a letter informing the governor of the vacancy.
Yes, he
But it
did.
did not address the fact of the special election. So he and Sheriff Petway and Clerk Smith recommended.
So in other words, we have a precedence, and so therefore we're going to proceed with what the law has already prescribed. And so therefore, we will have a special election, and we'll look forward to hearing the date. I'm sure that's going to come from Barry. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, you know, we don't write the laws, we just comply with them.
I guess I get to go back on our dog or something. What we are is the county commissioners are interested bystanders for the work, whomever the process.
Yeah, but it would still require the election committee in the county to hold that election.
And it is in my district, and I am getting calls about it.
In my district.
I know.
So so Mr. President, that being said, I'd like to make sure that when we have our next meeting, especially being that I'm just looking at the timeline of what we did for Commission 5, and that went very speedily, so to speak. So I'd like to make sure that we have Barry at some point in our meeting so that we have a track in terms of when and how we're going to proceed moving forward. And I'd also like to find out from him, you know, what type of communications that's going to go out so that everyone knows that there is a special election for that particular position.
Barry, are you on? Okay.
We're really still not sure.
Right, so the September 26th, the county already has two special elections set on September 26th. We know about that for House District 55 and House District 16. Many of the polling places being used for House District 16, and a couple of those for 55, would be in Bessemer Division. However, September 26th is awfully fast for this election. It'll be up to the election commission to decide, but
They can set it within 40 days of when they meet, according to the election, so.
Right.
Was it? But how long? I thought it was. How long will it turn out? Once they set the date, don't they have a period before the election? Is it 6 weeks?
It's 40 days.
It's 40 days.
33, 40 days. Yeah.
And the election commission has to meet within 7 days
Right.
of the vacancy.
Yeah.
So it's been passed the 7 days.
I don't know. But I think it is natural.
Are we sure that this vacancy was treated like a commission vacancy?
I am not sure that it was treated like a commission
Now,
vacancy, but
let's do this, okay? We need to find a definitive answer, and the election commission deserves that. Our county commission deserves that. So,
Do you have a copy of the law?
Yes, ma'am. And you can go back and look at the election in 2008 when Mr. Bennett ran for the tax assessor, and it was a year left on that because the guy just left the seat. So they had the special election with the regular election. So they did not appoint for that year now. Mr. Yarborough did the year because Mr. Bennett did not sign up for the special election. Mr. Yarborough did the year, and then Mr. Bennett took office. So both elections was on there, the special election and the regular election.
so if I were to ask Sean and Commissioner Bowles and Frank Long, Attorney Frank Long, to research that and give us an answer for Thursday, would that be appropriate?
We can research.
Can we do that?
That should cut down on.
So I would ask that should give us, in anyone that chooses from the election commission to be representative there, that would welcome that.
I already sent it.
Is that, you good with that? You good with that?
Yeah.
Right?
absolutely.
You good with that? All right. So anything else come forward?
Well, I was going to say something when we were having a discussion before we got off on this new election. We was talking about the funding, the infrastructure, and we were talking about the parks and roads and everything. Y'all said y'all don't We also had to keep in mind, we have several big money, infrastructure, expenses, youth detention.
Family court,
Coroner.
youth detention.
Youth detention, and the animal control facility. So those are big ticket items, so let's not get too far on spending the extra money, because we'd like to do as much as we can as a pay-go, as opposed to start floating up more bonds. So, and we're looking at that, and that's part of the infrastructure 5-year plan, that, how to allocate that, and how much we have to spend each year on what.
I know we got the coroner's office, youth detention, and family court is one in Humane Society.
Yeah.
I know we have that, the Cooper Green project is on his way with his own funding, so I'm very aware of them, because all four them in my district.
Right.
But that's
You said
still,
that's within your district?
yeah, all of them in my district.
Okay.
So, and they up under my committees. So I still want to know how much we got.
Oh, sure.
That's all I want. I want to see the dollars on the paper.
You will.
Okay.
All right, since we are not too terribly late, Gal would like to make a presentation to us. And it'll be very quickly.
Yeah.
It's concerning economic development and the creation of jobs within Jefferson County, which is one of the things that we're here for.
So Jeff been here a month or two and been putting together a database and some GIS data, and I thought it was pretty neat. Very impressive. So the first map is the number of jobs by commission district.
Project by commission.
Then you have a map.
Each dot on that map represents individual project or a company that's had multiple projects. The county's 2018.
Then you got a kind of a heat map that shows the number of jobs by commission district. And then you got an investment heat map. So I really like what Jeff's doing with the data. This will be a great tool for us in the future to help keep y'all informed. But tremendous amount of growth and jobs in Jefferson County, and we're
Let me ask this, while we're on this piece, thank you, both of you. While we're at this, I know that there are some administrative orders that, in terms of economic development, that are kind of in the queue. When are you going to present those items so that the commission as a whole, as soon as possible, can be able to look at it and decide how we're going to proceed?
I'll be working in the coming days with the new economic development commissioner. We were kind of waiting until that got settled, so hopefully, before we get heavy into the budget hearings, we'll have something proposed.
Okay, so do you have any already in existence?
Y'all do have an existing AO in existence?
No, I'm saying, do you currently have any administrative orders that we can look at that, I know the president had mentioned this as well, about, things that we can do to support jobs, support industry, those kind of things, and we want to, look at how we've done some things in the past and modify it so that it can be user-friendly to bring on new industry and new opportunities that we haven't addressed before. So I'm saying, when is that going to come before us?
Once we run it through the economic development chair and get that blessing, then I'm sure it'll be coming.
Okay, well, what happens with the Economic Development Committee, and I respect you, I just don't want to put this on your shoulders and you just got here, you know what I mean? But we are a committee of 5. So I hope that that's not what we're going to start doing, is then we got to have one blessing before it comes before the body. The body is the Economic Development Committee. And just so for your point of reference, every committee is everyone. There is no 1, 2, 3 people is all 5 commissioners. And I'm sure you've seen that, so.
Right, and we want to get something to you as soon as we can too, because it kind of gives us our marching orders on what kind of data we provide back to you for certain projects and that kind of thing.
Well, the reason why I say is because we know that there was a project that was brought before the commission. And I know that that project is still kind of laying in state, so to speak. And I really think that what the president and I think others have mentioned would be very useful if we can go ahead and proceed in that manner. The quicker we're able to do certain projects that will yield, job results and some other type of participation, then I think the better off the county is. And so the longer we wait, the longer it takes for us to get there. That's why I'm asking, how long is too long?
You could give us a couple of weeks, that'd be plenty of time.
Okay. I'd like to see that. And it would be very helpful if we can go ahead and proceed. And by all means, I've been hearing that you've been up here quite a bit. So I don't think that he's not going to be intact for you all to give it him in a judicious manner, expeditiously. Yeah. Okay. Look to see that administrative order soon.
Yeah, all the administrative orders are already online. Get your staff to look at it.
No, we're talking about they've been working on something.
Come back, new administrative.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. Any other things come forward? We are adjourned.
Thank you.